So you're ready to start a new habit. And I'm excited for you because changing your habits, adding new habits into your life that are going to benefit you can literally change your life. You know this. It becomes a part of who you are. But what's the best way to start? In James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, we come across chapter 5 where he says, he literally has a chapter titled, The Best Way to Start a New Habit. And what he talks about in this chapter is something that researchers refer to as implementation intention. I'm going to call it the implementation intention formula, or the formula for the best way to start a new habit. And it goes like this. Basically, you're going to write this out. You're going to say, I am going to perform X behavior, the new habit, at X time in X location. And you write that out for what it is that you would like to start. So you might say, I'm going to read my devotional at 7 a.m. in my living room. Right? That's a good example. Or I'm going to write 3 pages at 6 a.m. at my kitchen table before I go to work. Or maybe it's, I will go and exercise for 30 minutes at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Right? It's taking these ideas and breaking it down into simple steps. And what I love about this formula, this idea of, I will do X behavior at X time in this location, is that yes, it seems incredibly simple, but it is incredibly powerful because it puts you in motion. There's so much that we can learn about habits by reading books like Atomic Habits. There's so much that we can learn about our identity and identifying the person that God wants us to become and how we want to pour into that. But there's something incredibly powerful about when you are in motion. And implementation intention, starting out a habit with this idea, puts you in motion. You've probably heard the saying before, God can't steer a parked car. Let's use the example of this if you want to be a writer and an author. There's a lot of people that would like to write a book, and maybe you're one of them. I wrote a book a couple of years ago. It's so much easier to write a book when you already have the practice of writing every day. It changes everything. You might be waiting for the perfect clarity of moment of, well, this is what I'm going to write about, or here's what the book's going to be, or I've got the perfect outline. You might be waiting for all those things to line up. But the reality is if you're writing every day, a couple of pages, learning and growing as a writer and as an author, once you get those ideas clarified, if you're already writing, that comes so much faster. It becomes so much simpler for you to actually take the leaps forward to actually producing and putting a book out into the world. So why does something like this work? Well, let's open up the hood a little bit because implementation intention has been researched a lot. And it's really this concept and this idea of sort of making a decision beforehand and then mapping out what you're going to do to follow through on that decision. And when I say mapping that out, I mean writing it down or getting it on a calendar or getting some sort of a reminder in place. It's putting in the forethought so that you're not making the decision in the moment, but you've actually made that decision beforehand. And to prove this to yourself that this works, think about how you remember important things that you need to get done or important places that you need to be. For an example, you have a dentist appointment. I have a dentist appointment coming up and I know that I need to be there at 4 o'clock on a specific day. That is in my calendar. I know that the chances of me being there because it is in my calendar goes up significantly. If it's not in my calendar, the percentage chance of me forgetting it is incredibly high and I miss my appointment and all the repercussions of that. I know for myself, I schedule meetings for work and whatnot through the day. I also make scheduled time for if I need to prepare for a meeting. If I can set aside a block of time in the days leading up to the meeting, I can say, hey, you know what? I need to prepare for my meeting on Thursday. So I've set aside time on Tuesday at 3 p.m. and an hour to get that ready. The chance of me being properly prepared for that meeting on Thursday go up significantly if I put that onto my calendar. If I actually have the implementation of intention of following through on that preparation before I come to that actual meeting time. But I've made that beforehand as a conscious decision. And this is exactly what was found with the research that was done. They did a lot of research around people that wanted to vote and were going to vote. And they found that the percentage of people that showed up to vote went up significantly if they asked the question of the voters, hey, what time and place are you going to go and vote? And they had them tell them beforehand. Or what route are you going to take to the polling station when you go at this specific time? If those questions were asked and answered, the chances of people showing up to vote went through the roof. You can take this same logic and apply it to your habits. Now, personally, I use 2 tools with this sort of process of implementation intention. I use them both on my phone, the first one being the calendar function. Big example for me is I have a block of time every single week where I'm going to record these videos. That is set in my calendar every week, same time, same recurring place for a block to record this video. Might need to move it if I'm out of town or whatnot, but that's a recurring meeting that I have in my calendar. I create sort of recurring meetings for bigger habits that I want to make sure I've got those big rocks in first on my calendar for important habits that are going to sort of move me forward. At least I believe that they're going to move me forward in the direction that God wants me to move in. Now, the other tool that I'll use Siri on my phone to create a reminder. And sometimes it's just for really simple things. Like I say to my phone, "Hey Siri, remind me every Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. to take out the garbage before I leave for work." That's an actual reminder I have set up on my phone. So I don't leave my driveway on Wednesday mornings without making sure that the recycle and garbage is out to the street and that everything's ready to go, because that matters to our household. If I miss that every week, that's going to impact our home. Or, "Hey Siri, remind me every day at 4:30 p.m. that I'm going to the gym after work," right? Just little nudges that you can put in your phone that sort of play into this implementation intention. So you get that nudge and that reminder of the direction, the decision that you've already made. I find this incredibly helpful because it means I don't have to remember everything. And this is another benefit that James points out in his book, where he says, you know what, if you use this properly, if you're using implementation intention properly, you can actually reduce your decision fatigue, or the chances of you succumbing to decision fatigue, which we've talked about before, right? When you're too tired, you've made too many decisions, and all of a sudden you're facing this choice of, am I going to go to the gym after work, or am I going to go to the gym after the kids go to bed, right? But you've already made the decision. You have the implementation intention decision already made. You go at 5 o'clock to your local gym, work out for 30 minutes, whatever that is, you've already made that choice, so you're not sitting there making that decision. And you're also not allowing other things to creep into your schedule that might take that time away. I know that at the specific time each week when I'm filming, I don't book any other appointments during that time, because that time is set aside. I'm not going to book the dentist for the same day at the same time that I'm already set up to film. I've already got this in my calendar. That block is already there. Now, James Clear cites a number of other different examples in his book, Atomic Habits. If you don't have it, you want to get it in your library. But he says this, the punchline of this chapter is this: people who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit are more likely to follow through. And I want that for you in your life.